Finally, I think I'm live, guys. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, 1 second. Let me just pop on over to my other screen. Let's see if I can. Yay! Okay, we're simulcasting again. Welcome to day 3 of day 4. So day 3 of 4 of your blue light effect mini-series. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about tips to address your exposure. My name is Amanda Winchester. I'm your healthy lifestyle coach. And thank you again for joining me. I know some of you are enjoying Thanksgiving this weekend. So I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, first of all, to all my Canadian friends and family tuning in across the country. Welcome, welcome. And those of you who may be Canadian celebrating elsewhere, thanks for inviting me into your home through this mini series. And I hope that you guys have been enjoying it. Let me know if you've, hey Brian, drop value in the comments if you've been watching the other videos and you find that this mini series is helpful to you or your loved ones about reducing your blue light effect and exposure and increasing your health. That's the purpose of this mini series. If you didn't catch day 1 or day 2, I did drop the links in the description of this video if you're watching from Facebook, and let me know in the comments if you are watching from Facebook or YouTube, because we are simulcasting for this mini series, which is really exciting because it's my first time doing that. So I'm going to get right into it, guys. So yesterday, first off, the first day on Thursday, we talked about what blue light was and how it's affecting our body, and then yesterday we dove into, hey, happy Saturday. We dove more deep into, hey, Michelle, dove deeper into the actual health effects that's happening with our blue light exposure yesterday, and kind of got into the nitty gritty of that because I know a lot of you had questions about that. And so I really encourage you, if you haven't catch that, hey, Michelle, if you haven't caught those videos, I encourage you to go back and watch it. I know it's kind of like the icky part. It's like, you know, what is it doing to my body? And you're kind of feeling like, oh, you know, gross, it's okay, we're all there. But the whole purpose of this is to provide you with those seeds of hope of how to limit that exposure, and also provide you with some tips and tricks, as well as some tools tomorrow to be able to help you and your loved ones decrease that exposure, because we are increasing it every day, regardless of whether it's in our home or out in public. We're being exposed to that blue light, and we've talked about that previously, so I won't get into that again. But today, guys, like I said, we're talking about tips to limit your exposure. And one of the first things I wanted to talk about, a big part of it, I know a lot of us are tuning into our screens a lot in the evenings after work, after school, whether you're watching TV or, you know, playing on your computer or working on your computer, on your cell phone, on your tablet. All of these things are exposing you to that blue light like we talked about. And one thing that I wanted to mention that you could do to kind of reduce your exposure is refrain from using your screen 2 to 3 hours before bed. And I know that can be difficult, right? Because you're like, okay, but I usually unwind in front of the TV. Well, we're going to get into some other options for you tomorrow. I'm not going to get into those options, but today is giving you just those tips. But that is a really important tip, not just for you, but for your children, your loved ones, to start allowing your body to decompress and kind of reduce the exposure, because we're exposed like through LED lights and fluorescent lights, and we've talked about all those different aspects and all the screens that we're being exposed to. And so by unplugging completely from any type of device, and hopefully if you have like a lot of LED lights, you can kind of find alternatives for those in your home as well. But if you are being exposed to that all the time, it's really important to allow your body to have that 2 to 3 hours before bedtime to be able to lessen that exposure. And what this is going to do is it's going to increase your levels of melatonin. It's going to allow your body to start getting into that sleep mode. I know that it's myself included. We've created a bad habit sometimes of like, hey, well, let's just watch a show in bed before we fall asleep. And it's really unhealthy to do that. Whether you're doing it in the living room and bedroom, it doesn't matter. It's just allowing because you're putting that, like we talked about, how your body starts getting the blue light induces this feeling of excitement and mood booster, and those are great during the day, but they're harmful in the day too, unnatural ones, overexposure of course, but at night they're equally exposed, difficult to be exposed to, because of the fact that it interrupts your sleep patterns. And those sleep patterns, as we talked about yesterday, can attribute to a whole slew of health issues that a lot of you are already experiencing and may not even realize it's exposed due to the exposure of blue light that you guys are having. The other thing that I wanted to recommend too is increasing your bright natural light in the daytime. Sometimes we have, the curtains closed, or we spend a lot of time indoors. and maybe in the center of our home or in an office, or maybe you're in a workshop or you're in a classroom, whatever the case is, making an intentional effort to increase your natural, the sunlight, that's the natural daylight. And what that does is it allows your eyes to be and your body to be exposed to the full spectrum of the 7 main colors that we talked about on day 1. And by doing that, you're decreasing that exposure of just the intense blue light. And it will actually help boost your sleep at night, because of the fact that you are lowering that exposure in the evenings, but you're increasing the daylight, natural daylight, mixed in with the other colors during the daytime. It also, during the daytime, will increase your alertness and mood, which is what you want. That's when you want that alertness and your mood to be, more upbeat and picked up, right? Because at night we want to be able to get into that realm of lowering, getting calmer, and it's not that you want to be in a bad mood. It doesn't put you in a bad mood, but it puts you in that sleep mode, that peaceful mode, so that you can start getting your body ready to drift off to a proper level of sleep. The other thing that I wanted to recommend as another tip for the exposure is to increase your outdoor light exposure early part of your day. It's not just throughout the day, but it's important to do it first thing in the morning. It's the best time of light, usually, depending on the weather, obviously. But regardless of the weather outside, it's a really crucial way to start your day, especially if you're going to be exposed to a lot of blue light through the fluorescent lighting, the LED lighting, or any type of screens that you're going to be using throughout your day. It just allows your body to start having the proper kind of transition from the regular proper light that our eyes are supposed to be in tune to, which is that the levels of the 7 spectrum from natural light, as opposed to that concentrated blue light that is really damaging our eyes and doing that early degeneration and all the things that we talked about yesterday. The other thing I wanted to point out is increasingly, unfortunately, our younger children, younger generation, are being exposed even more than some of us adults. Now, those of you who are maybe working in front of a computer like I tend to do, especially when I was outside of the home office and I was full-time accountant, I was in front of a computer like sometimes 10 to 12 hours, depending on where I was working. And that is really harmful to you. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, if you're in that type of employment position, whether you're at home or outside, like I said, working for like corporate America or for corporate Canada, whatever, is that you're taking frequent breaks to allow your eyes to rest. And that's when you can take those moments to maybe walk to a window if you're not able to actually go outside, and just allow your eyes to just readjust. And allow it to get that natural light versus that concentrated blue light. And also, because you're stepping away from the concentrated blue light with the exposure, you're also giving your eyes a rest. So even if you don't want to go to the daylight or don't have that access, then maybe read a book or just close your eyes for a couple of minutes if you can do that, or the different things that you can, whatever works for you. I know for myself, sometimes I'll even just lay a warm compressed cloth across my eyes, and that really soothes them as well. But regardless of what you are doing, I know that's not really an option when you're working outside of the home, but the important thing is to give your eyes that rest, those little rest breaks throughout the day. If you are under any type of blue light, which is, like I said, the fluorescent or the LED, or if you're in front of any type of screens. And that's your phone too, guys, because I know even though you may not be working on a computer like some of us, the majority, like I gave you the stats yesterday, the majority of people around the world. It doesn't, I narrowed in on the statistics from US yesterday, but those statistics are global wide in most places, most countries. And so it's really staggering results to how much screen time we are increasing to over the last few years, and the damage that it's doing to not only our eyes, but our overall health. And so making sure that you are keeping that phone away from you and not touching it as much as possible is the ideal thing. And give yourself a permission, because some of us feel like we're a slave to our phone. If you feel like that, then this is a great way for you to use this as an excuse, which is a healthy option. So it's a really great one to allow yourself to decrease that exposure. Now, also, of course, decreasing your own time in front of the screens is one thing too. So when you're home, don't feel like, I know it's easy to just veg out in front of that TV TV, but maybe it means sitting out on the porch, you know, and just taking in the weather. Even in the snow, I do it. So, you know, it can be done. Even in -30, you just decrease how much time you're out there, of course. And maybe it's going for a walk, take the dog for a walk, or get a dog so you can take it for a walk, or you just go for a walk to grab a coffee if you live in town, or, you know, just different things. Come up with different ideas that work for you to make sure that you're getting away from the televisions, your phone, your computers, and that artificial lighting that's really concentrated blue light. It's so important. And now yesterday I did mention also about, of course, just like our children's bodies are forever growing, it seems, they are growing obviously at a slower rate. And when we're older, you know, things are maturing. And so the same goes for our eyes. And I talked about that more in detail yesterday, so I won't go into it. But having said that, and kind of piggybacking on that, limiting the screen time that our children are having is absolutely crucial, because of the fact that their eyes are way more susceptible to absorbing this unnatural blue light, and the fact that it's doing all those health issues, causing all those health issues that I mentioned yesterday. So if your child is under the age of 2, it is recommended that they have no screen time, absolutely none. And I know that's like common sense for some people, but a lot of you watching, I know it's like a lot of you just, it's one of those things. It's like put on the cartoons, or a lot of people are giving, like, passing tablets and iPads. And I know that may seem absurd to myself and some other people watching, but unfortunately it's becoming more common. And so it's really important that you guys stop doing that. Just stop. No excuse. If you do not want your children to go blind when they are before the age of old or ever, then it's important. Like, I can't even candy code it for you. Just stop. If they're under 2, 0 hours. They should have no screen time. And if they are between the ages of 2 to 5, minimum of 1 hour per day. And I know, again, your kids are going to probably, if you've been giving them freedom of watching cartoons or playing games on their computers or playing games on the tablets or whatever the case is, they're going to kick and scream. You're going to have to find alternative ways to work around that. Provide them with blocks, and Lego, and reading, and board games, and whatever it takes, just like we always did for us growing up. There are options around there, so it's just a matter of teaching your families. And sorry, guys, I know, like, you're looking at me sometimes, people are like, but aren't you like 18? No, I'm almost 40. And so our children are well into their late teens. And so I have been there, and I do know how it is, what it is like to raise children without all those screens in front of their faces, and it is possible. I promise you. And the other thing is for the ages of 5 to 18, so 0 or less than 2 years of age, 0 screen time. Okay, keep them away from the TVs, away from tablets, away from everything. None. And if they are 2 to 5, then no more than 1 hour per day. And if they are between the ages of 5 to 18, and I know this is going to be laugh-worthy even for my own son who's watching, who's not quite 18. Helen, you're still not streaming anything? Because it just paused both my connections. Okay, well, I'm going to keep rolling because it looks like YouTube may have popped back online, and I don't know if you can hear me on Facebook or not. My computer says it's still trying to reconnect, so I'm just going to roll with it, and if it does, then I will post other link for you guys. Sorry about this. I don't know. Our son downstairs might be streaming too much stuff. Now, having said that, what I was starting to finish on was, which is my last point, of ages 5 to 18. This is the one that's going to be laugh-worthy for most of you who have children between that age, especially the older teenagers, is a maximum, and I meant to say maximum, by the way, of 1 hour a day for ages 2 to 5, not minimum, maximum. And for ages 5 to 18, it's a maximum of 2 hours per day. Now, even the pediatrician, which our son had until the age of 16 out here in Alberta, which was a godsend, even she backed us up on that. And there's so much scientific proof behind that, just for other health reasons. You know, like sitting for long periods of time, which I've talked about in previous videos, can cause things like heart disease and fluid on the lungs. It can cause blood clots. It can cause just a slew of things. Oh my goodness, guys, a degeneration of your muscles and breakdowns of all that kind of things. Let me just pop back over to Facebook for a second. Nope, Facebook disconnected on me. So I'm hoping that this is still going, guys. But anyway, that's the wrap up for you guys today. So that is the tips to address your exposure. Tomorrow, we're going to be coming back here. You can join me at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be wrapping it up for day 4 of 4 for the Blue Light Effect mini-series, health mini-series. And we'll be talking about, I'll be giving you not just tips like we did today, but actual factual things that you can change, settings you can change on your computer and your devices to help minimize that exposure for when you are actually on them, as well as your television. We'll also be sharing some devices that are cool and gadgets that you can pick up if you wanted to protect your eyes as well. And there's all sorts of things. I know that there's, everyone's like, some people are like, oh, I've already got the glasses. Well, there's different versions of that. And so I'm going to be talking about that and how to choose the right ones for you. There is a little bit of science behind it, as well as, of course, other options too, because unfortunately, as much as the sunglasses or the special glasses would be wonderful if it just took care of all of the issues and we just wore them around all the time, obviously we know that that's not possible, and it isn't, unfortunately, fail-proof. And so there is going to be other things that I bring forth to the table to help you guys as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Drop value in the comments if this is valuable. If you had a top takeaway, drop that in the comments as well. Let's continue this conversation. Make sure you're tagging people in the comments too if they need to see this series, or invite them to the mini series. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. And again, for all of my Canadian friends and family and everyone watching, happy Thanksgiving. And then we wish you many blessings today and always. Take care, guys.